Okay, for today it's about graphing a system of equations. So that brings up the fact that you could use a calculator, and those of you that are at home today, where you find the calculator is you'll need to use single sign-on. If you use the Schoology app, it won't work. But go through single sign-on, and then you go in my welcome folder. It's a yellow folder on the Schoology site. Inside there, you'll see one that says, click here to get a graphing calculator. And then you have to hit start a couple times, and then there's a little calculator icon. That's how you can get a calculator like this at home. All right, so I taught the kids how to use the calculator to do graphing, but here's how you do it by hand. Would you agree if I put in a 1 here, that y would equal 1 plus 5, which is 6? Then 1 comma 6 was one of the points. Would you please put that point on your list? And now put in 2. Don't overthink this. You put in the 2 and you get y equals what? 7. Put in a 3. What do you get? You catching on to the pattern? It's just going to keep going up. But let's do a couple more, because then we'll have the intersection point on there. 3 comma 8, 4 comma 9, and 5. And if I put the 5 here, it would have been 5 plus 5 is 10. 5 comma 10. Now let's make a chart for this one. XY chart. If you put in a 1, y equals 2 times 1, y equals 2. What if I put in a 2? Then it's 4. 3, then it's 6. 4, then it's 8. And one last one, when I put in a 5, 2 times 5, y equals 10. Do you see that they both have the point 5 comma 10 on them? That's why they intersect there. Now, which way was faster? The calculator or by hand? It's okay to say that. I know you know that I don't want you to be dependent on the calculator, but would you agree the calculator is faster? Yeah, it's definitely faster. But this way helps you to know that it's just a bunch of points, and this is the one point that they both share. So both ways are good to know. All right, not quite time for lunch, but we're getting there. So a typical homework assignment question will have something like this. 2x plus 3 is equal to y. And they're going to be just messing with you to see, do you get that's the exact same thing as if I put the y over here? It's the same thing. Or sometimes they won't even have it solved for y. But if you're going to graph it on a calculator, do you get, if it doesn't have y equals, if it says like this, you can't put that in the calculator? Did you even notice that? The calculator wanted it solved for y, right? So you'll have to solve all of them for y to be able to put them in a calculator. All right. Would everybody please solve this one for y? About 5 more minutes. Okay, you should have subtracted 2x from both sides. And you would have had 3y equals, and I like to put the negative 2x first, because that's where x is supposed to be. X is supposed to be in the front. And then I'm going to divide this by 3, divide this by 3, divide this by 3. And there's my answer. 2/3 x. How would you put that in a calculator? Well, that wouldn't be very fun. You could do it. My best tip for you is put a parenthesis around this. And then it'll go in the calculator a lot better. If you ever have a fraction slope, put it in a parenthesis. And then it'll play nice. Okay. Do you get the calculators go faster? Do you get the calculators have to have it solved for y, though? Okay, so you're going to have to solve these for y like this, otherwise the calculator won't work. Otherwise, if you do the solving right, you can get it down to 2y equations. You can use the calculator to see where they cross. But on a test, we'd actually ask you to show the graph. Do you get, if you've got a graph on your calculator, it looks like this and this, it's not going to be super easy to just copy that onto the graph paper. The key spots to look for would be the y-intercepts and figuring out what their slopes are. If you can figure out what the y-intercepts are and what the slopes are, then you'll be able to go, oh yeah, I go rise 3 and run 1 or whatever. Maybe this one is go down 1 and over 6. You can get your slopes and your y-intercepts. You'll be able to write the equations for them. Okay, I think that's enough for before lunch. That's all I have for you for before lunch. So welcome back. We have a worksheet that we are ready to do. So I'd like you to find it, and there's a Schoology quiz. And if you're like, what the heck, is there 12 things? No, there's just a worksheet that goes with the Schoology quiz. The worksheet is where you can do the work, and the Schoology quiz is where you can like type in the answer from it. All right, so start with the worksheet, please, and then you'll be able to type it into the Schoology quiz later. All right, so the worksheet, if you found the right one, in a moment, I'm going to ask you to show me you found it, just to prevent you from being distracted with other things. Find the worksheet. Problem 1 says y equals negative 5/3 x plus 3. If you have the worksheet up on your iPad already, would you please raise your hand so I can see how many I've already got? All right, I got about 2/3 of you. Okay. Megan, would you please read me the other y equals?
Y equals 1/3x minus 3.
Good. Now, it asks for the solution. You can't just look at those two and know the solution. No way. But you can graph them. Now, do you have to graph them by hand? Yes. Can you check it with a calculator if you're not sure? Yeah, but I want you to grade them or graph them, and they're really not as hard as you might think. Let me show you. You just start at the 3 because it says 3 there. So you go up 3 and you put a dot. You know, you can all put a dot at y is 3. Next, we got to go down 5. So this is the rise, but a negative rise means down, right? So down 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 3 run, which means go 3 to the right. So here I go, down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I go 3 to the right. 1, 2, 3, and I put a dot right there. I'm done, I've graphed it. That's all I got to do. You start at the y-intercept, then you go down 3 and over, down 5 and over 3. Then the other one that you graph starts at negative 3. Starts down here at negative 3, and I'm putting a bright green dot there. Okay. And then I go rise 1 and run 3. Rise 1, run 3. Whoa, I hit it right away. There it was. Do you get how you really didn't need the calculator? It would have been a pain to type this one in the calculator because it had those fractions. You'd have had to put all those fractions in. You'd have had them in parentheses. So if you want to, you could put it in the calculator now, but you actually see that it's not that hard if you have graph paper, and we give you ones that intersect nice. Do you see that intersected at 3, negative 2? That's that spot. 3, negative 2. Then that's the solution. Okay. Number 2 is below it, and it's also got a y equals, so that's nice and easy. You could do that one yourself. Let's go to number 3. I'll help you with number 3, everybody. Why would you need help? Well, because they don't both have a y equals. The first one does. Avia, could you read me the second one, and I will solve it. This is problem 3.
It's 3x plus 2y equals 4.
Perfect. Now we got to solve that thing for y. Ian, you're trying to get the y alone, which is right here. What can you add or subtract from both sides that gets us closer?
Minus 3x.
You are correct, sir. Everybody subtract 3x from both sides. Minus 3x, and I have 2y equals negative 3x plus 4. Notice I put the x in front. You always put the x here because we want it in y equals mx plus b form. Divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. I think you would have known that because now the y is alone. Yay! And there's my equation, except 4 divided by 2 is really just 2. So there's my slope, but when you're rising and running, it's not that hard to have a fraction. You rise negative 3 and you run 2. And this is always to the right. On the bottom is always moving to the right. The top is just up or down based on whether it's negative, you go down, and if it's positive, you go up. So I would start this one at 2. So here's the graph for number 3. This is problem number 3. You'd start this one at 2 because that was 4 divided by 2 gave you 2. So I'm putting a dot here. And then I'm going to do rise of negative 3. It means down 3. And then 2 to the right. Do. And there's my spot. So all it takes is 2 points. These are straight lines, so they're so much easier to graph than curves. If you get 2 straight lines right, you're done. Okay, so there's one of my lines. The other line was already in y equals form. Carl, can you tell me where to start on this one?
Start at -2.
Correct. So I go down 2 and I put a dot, and then what?
And then go up 1 and over 2.
All right, close. Down 1
Oh,
and over 2. Down 1 and over 2. Down 1 and over 2, and I think it'll intersect right there. Now, you have to use your own graph paper to see exactly where that is, but it'll hit right there. Down 1. This right here is down 1. And run 2. Over 2. Right 2 would be another way to say it. Okay, I think you're getting the idea. There's a few too many problems on this sheet. I'm just trying to be realistic on how much you can get done in one day. So let's skip numbers 4 and 6. I think 5 is worth doing. You need to see those kind where it's just y equals a number. By the way, how the heck do you graph y equals 5? Well, you just go to a spot where y is 5. And then you go, well, where should I go from here? And then you'll quickly realize this is the way you graph y equals things. So that's the line y equals 5, for instance. Okay, but you're going to skip problems 4 and 6 from the worksheet. You have the rest of the time to work on it. I'll be standing up in front asking to help you. And I may call up some kids during the hour to ask what happened to their top 20, because over the weekend you're supposed to enter in your sorry, not top 20, basic 20 score. And some of you may not have entered that yet, and you need to get it done. That's all I have for the video for today.